Hey everyone, welcome back to News Channel 5 Plus. I'm Casey Mason, and you are joining us right now for Open Line, where we are asking the attorney indeed. This is Kevin Kennedy of the Kennedy Law Firm.
Yeah, we got lots of lines lit up.
I was going to say, let's just go right into it.
Go for it.
Here we have Adam on line 5. Hi Adam, what's your question tonight?
Hey Kevin, I got a question for you, man.
Okay.
If you're involved in medical malpractice, say you had you called in and you wind up working with an attorney that's far away, and that's something you're uncomfortable with, are you obligated to stick with them, or can you try to find somebody local to kind of gather up the pieces of what you're working on?
Okay, good question. A lot of people ask that question quite often. The truth is, you signed a contract with that first attorney. Many attorneys, if it's not working out and there's a breakdown in communication, they're not calling you back and you're saying, hey, I can't get you on the phone, then sometimes they just let you out of the contract. Some may be aggressive, said, well, look, this is a great case. Let me take 50%, get your new lawyer in, see if we can split. So when there's a will, there's a way. And if I didn't feel comfortable with the lawyer I have, I would be pursuing something to try to see if I could rectify that problem.
All right, we've got Desiree on line 1. What's your question tonight for us, Desiree? Can we lose her? Let's see here. All right, we'll go ahead and let's move to line 2. Desiree, if you can hear us, just hang on. We'll try to get to your call. I believe we have John now on line 2. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hello. What can we do for you?
Well, I had a stroke 14 months ago, and my Phyllis was at a hospital, and it did 2 tests, and the second therapist, they told me they're going to send me to another hospital in Nashville. My question is, I feel the first 3 hours is critical.
Yes.
I had no medicine for the stroke, with a pill to help dissolve the blockage.
Yes.
And so they sent me to another hospital. They did a CCAT or a CTAT, and same thing. I sit down there for 5 or 6 hours, and they finally sent me upstairs. So the next day, before I get any medicine for it. So my question is, the first hospital, should they even have took me in and did 2 CAT scans, then sent me to another hospital?
Okay, great question. The truth is, the question gets down to, did that first hospital deviate from the standard of care in that community as they treated you? If they did, and you have to have an expert to say they did, and you had damages, just like you said, you've done an excellent job of assessing that, and everyone should know, if you have that stroke problem, potentially immediately try to get medical help, because time is of the essence. But you're going to have you an expert that will say that they've deviated, and then you have something. So I would pursue a lawyer. Remember, in Tennessee, you only have 1 year from the date of the incident to pursue that, or you're forever barred. Also, under medical malpractice, they've got new rules that will even shorten the year that you have to have experts in a time less than 1 year.
All right, Kevin, I think we have Desiree back on line 5.
Okay, Desiree, what can we do for you?
Yes, sir, I got a question. At the place where I was working at, I'm kind of being discriminated against.
All right.
Saying that I'm like a racist. And my question is, I don't know exactly what to do about it. I felt so threatened last night at work that I kind of walked out. The young lady threatened me and then started yelling how I don't care for African Americans. So what should I do?
Well, first off, you know, that's always a sensitive area. Perhaps you should go and talk to the HR director about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. When you get into these issues, so much of them are subjective, meaning one person will say, well, that comment was racist. Another person will say, well, I didn't find that offensive in the slightest. So it leaves the door wide open. So what you're struggling with, every company throughout Tennessee is struggling with the same thing on the interpretation. No one wants racism in the workplace. We have laws put in place to stop it, but many times, you know, people are extra sensitive and perhaps they're overboard. So I would go to the handbook and I'd go talk to HR and I'd take my directions from the boss.
All right. Roger on line 4. Hi, Roger. What's your question tonight?
I just wanted to tell him that Paul Revere and the Raiders called, and they want their.
Watch out, they're after me. The Redcoats are coming. Paul Revere. You know, when I love the Paul Revere too, because he rode a horse. Y'all know I have a horse farm. So, in fact, this even reminds me of one of those hunter polo jumping, one of those things.
As long as you don't clash with me, we're okay.
Well,
we have to plan this out. Steve.
Yes, it's true.
All right, we'll get back to those legal questions now. I believe we have Cindy on. We thought it was line 5. We have Cindy. Let's move that to line 3. Cindy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I have a question. My husband has been passed 7 years, and I just wanted to find out why I wouldn't be entitled to a portion of his military he was in, like 7 years, or his Social Security, or do you have to be a certain age? I have gotten the runaround from everybody through the VA and everybody through Social Security, and I just want some truthful answers. Thank you.
You know, it's what's happened to you has happened to lots of ladies. As a general rule, you don't really vest in your husband's military retirement till you've been married to him 10 years. Now, in those cases when it's less than 10 years and there's a divorce situation, they'll make claims and perhaps they pay that money out in the form of alimony. But if your husband had more than the 10 years or the 20 years, those were things that you'd have to evaluate. I would go to I have this question all the time. What do we do? You've already done one. You've gone to the Veterans Administration. Sometimes I go on a different day to see a different person. Am I getting the same answer? At the law firm, when I have all the young lawyers, I have a policy. No one moves till you talk to 2 lawyers. That gives us 3 opinions. And when this lawyer says no this and this lawyer says, I'm not ready to move. I'm not ready to let my young lawyers move. And same thing that I would tell you, it's a good policy. So you're saying, Kevin, let's go to the Social Security Administration. I'll sit and talk to this lady. If it doesn't make sense, I might call back and see if I can talk to another or come back on another day. If 2 of them are giving me the same answer, then you're feeling pretty good. This is what we're confronted with. And then, you know, you can always look in the phone book or look online for Social Security lawyers and go and talk and see what benefits you would be eligible. They change these rules all the time. So what's right today may be wrong tomorrow.
All right, I think we have Sue now on line 1. Hi, Sue. What's your question for us tonight?
If a person was in a medical facility on 2 different occasions to have medical procedures both times, and now they are recently deceased, and an autopsy was performed, and the autopsy results said that the 2 surgical procedures were never performed, and one of them probably, or maybe both, were life-saving procedures.
Wow.
And how would you proceed, and what would you suggest doing?
Well, first off, I would try to find me a lawyer that would entertain the medical malpractice. I'd get the medical records immediately, and you know, sometimes you'll hear lawyers say, well, we didn't get all the records. And so that's an issue that we'd have to evaluate. And again, when you start searching for that, they already know, well, golly, we're going to get sued. So I would pursue a doctor, a lawyer who would do those kinds of things, get the medical records. They will send them to an expert. And what is the expert looking for? They're looking for a deviation from the standard of care. Same applies for nurses and doctors, practitioners. And if they said, hey, we paid for this procedure, but it was never performed. Well, somebody's told some lies. One of the theories in the law, you cannot deceive people. You cannot trick them. You can't defraud them. That's against the law, and there would be compensation if you could prove that.
All right. I believe we have Ronnie now on line 2. Hi, Ronnie. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Wonderful. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, I got a question. What if somebody called for an ambulance at, say, 4 something in the morning, and the guy died because they didn't show up until about 11 something?
Wow.
You know.
Well, again, I think that would be an excellent call for the lawyer. And if they didn't have a good reason, is it negligence? because people have relied on that representation. Did they call and say, hey, we can't get there, we've had an accident, we're bringing another? If those steps weren't taken, the question gets down, what would a reasonable person do in those circumstances? If you deviate off of that, then you take on civil liability. We don't really know what all the facts are. You've given us part of the facts. They were called at 4, didn't get there till 11, and it was life-saving time. You've got a good part of the formula, then someone else has to fill in the rest.
All right, great questions tonight. We really appreciate you calling in. Just want to go ahead and reiterate that number there. It's right there on your screen. It's 615-737+. All you have to do is call into that line. We are so happy to talk with you. Kevin answered.
Boy, we've gone through a lot of questions.
We sure have.
So
the
just
phone
let
lines
them
are lighting up.
keep coming, and we appreciate the calls. You know, so many people say, well, I'd like to ask, but I'm embarrassed. There is no such thing as an embarrassing question. It takes a little, because you're helping lots of other people. Even tonight, as we are sharing this, tens of thousands of people are watching this, and many have the same circumstances that you're inquiring about. So I encourage you, continue to call and ask those questions, because you really help our community. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Knowledge is power, and it'll make the difference in others' lives.
Well, while we're waiting for some more of those calls to come on in, let's just talk a little bit about your law firm, the Kennedy Law Firm. It's actually located in Clarksville, Tennessee, not too far from here.
Yeah, we have 3 locations. We have the main headquarters is the Kennedy Building right in front of the courthouse on 127 South 3rd Street. That's where my main office is. We have an office building on Fort Campbell Boulevard, the Kennedy Center. Everybody said, the Kennedy Center, I thought that was in Washington. Well, in our world, the Kennedy Center is at the Fort Campbell.
Not quite the same thing, but close.
And that's where we have the Tennessee's largest private courtroom.
Wow.
I built that, and we try little cases, and we flush out mistakes. And when we're not using it for our lawyers, we use it for the schools. And students, 5th graders, high schoolers, college students come in there, and we've had 26,000 students get to visualize and experience a mock trial. And it's been a great thing, a gift from my law firm to the community. They bust kids in there. In fact, more people saw me in that trial than they've seen me in the other trials. And I think a few of the trials I lost in my career was at my own courtroom. Some of my own people were training with me, but it's been a wonderful experience. And then if you go to Wilma Rudolph, the main boulevard through Clarksville, we have our 3rd location. It's called the Kennedy Place, and it's right there on the main boulevard. It's about 8 lanes, and people ask me all the time, Kevin, why do you have so many people? Because I learned early on it takes a team, a team of people. There's no such thing as the perfect lawyer, not one that can research and argue and strategize, but you get a team together. That is a force that has to be reckoned with. So if they had you in trouble tonight, me in trouble tonight, we're hunting that team, because they'll make a difference in your life.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit more about your law firm. Of course, we want to hear those questions, so keep them coming in right here on Open Line. We're going to pause for a quick break. Keep it right here on News Channel 5+.